Fifth grade for history today. I'd like you to please have your history notebook and your history hardcover book out because we're going to be moving from all the inventions that the 1800s brought into the presidency of Andrew Jackson. So we're just going to focus on some of the few things that went on while he was president, and we're going to be taking some notes in our history notebook. So if you could please turn to the next fresh page in your notebook and title it Lesson 13.2. That means Chapter 13, Lesson 2, and the presidency of Andrew Jackson. And I'd like to see the page number so that you know where to look back at if you need to. Okay? All right. So what we're going to do after you put the heading down and everything, please do that, because when you take your pictures of your work, I need to see all this because they'll be worth points. So please make sure you follow along. But first, on the whole page below the title, you're going to create a pyramid, okay? Technically just a triangle, but a triangle, and we're going to fill it with information. So try and make it nice and wide because we're going to need some room for the things we're going to read about. Okay. And technically, so you split it so it has a top. Now the top you need to write, we're going to write the main idea of the lesson in there. So you'll want some room, so don't make it too tiny. And then you're going to draw another line that splits the rest of it in half. And then a line down the center that splits that in half. So it should look like that. All right, while you're getting that done, I'm going to read the build the background section, okay? So while you're getting that ready, in 1824, President John Quincy Adams told Americans that a population of 4 million has expanded to 12. A territory bounded or ended by the Mississippi River has been extended from sea to sea. New states have been admitted to the Union. A new kind of nation was emerging as President Adams spoke. Soon the people in the frontier states would vote for a new kind of leader to represent them. So President John Quincy Adams was the president before Andrew Jackson, and he was just saying how our nation is expanding, it's getting bigger. Where we were once stopped by the Mississippi River, now we go from ocean to ocean. So he's just talking about how we're expanding. So we're going to see what kind of things happen under Andrew Jackson. And so our main idea, this whole lesson, we will put down, we'll just put the presidency of Andrew Jackson. Okay, so because remember, this is our main idea, the top of the triangle, that means we need 4 important things that happen under his presidency. Okay, so these are all going to be details. And I'd like them to be full of good information, okay? So don't just say he was a president, he was tall, you could put his nickname down, that's great, but let's try and fill in with a lot of good stuff. Whether it was good or bad, you know what I mean? But like, don't just do 1-word answers or 3-word answers, okay? So let me read a little bit to you, but we'll at least write one thing in together, and then if you could fill in the rest. Okay, so I'm on page 377, and in your details, it would be wonderful if you put the page numbers where you find this information. Between 1812 and 1821, 6 new states joined the Union. These states allowed all white men older than 21 to vote. These new voters helped elect Andrew Jackson. He had little formal education and came from a state west of the Appalachians. The new president was a hero of the War of 1812. He was also a self-taught lawyer and a judge. He owned a large plantation in Tennessee, but in spite of his wealth and success, he frightened wealthy political leaders. They worried about what he would do as president. And then the next section heading is called Election of Old Hickory. Jackson's military victories had made him famous, but his triumph at New Orleans almost did not take place. His troops were marching to protect the city from a British attack during the War of 1812 when Jackson received an order to disband the army at once. His troops grumbled that they had marched a long way for nothing. Jackson agreed and refused to obey the order. His troops easily defeated a well-trained British army. "He's tough," one soldier said, "tough as hickory, a tree that is very hard wood." After that, Jackson became known as Old Hickory. When he ran for president in 1828, he was seen as the candidate of the common man. Jackson won by a landslide. A landslide election happens when one candidate wins a large majority of the votes. It means he had most of the votes. That's a landslide. A huge crowd gathered in Washington to watch Jackson's inauguration in 1829. Everyone was invited to the White House to celebrate after the ceremony. People stood on chairs to see Jackson, even overturning tables. Jackson barely managed to escape out a back door. A new kind of presidency began that day. All right, so from that page, I would probably talk about what kind of president he was. And what people saw him as. So at the bottom of page 377, it says when he ran for presidency in 1828, he was seen as the candidate of the common man. So, and then let's say while running for president, he was seen as the candidate of the common man. All right, and then I'm going to put it on the side because I don't have a lot of room. That was page 377. And because you would have more room than I do right now, on the side I'm also, because it's also on page 377, I'm going to put his nickname was Old Hickory. And then if you want that reason, it says he's tough. One soldier said, "Tough as hickory, a tree that has very hard wood." So he's Old Hickory. I'm going to say because he's tough. So remember, Andrew Jackson, back in when we were reading about the War of 1812, he was down in New Orleans, and remember they got the news that, I mean, it takes a while to get news, but they got the news that it was time for the war to be done. And he did get that letter, but he decided not to listen to it, and that's why they won that battle against the British. They, 2,000, I think, British soldiers were, killed. But that's where he got his nickname, Oldest Hickory. He's Old Hickory. He's tough. Okay, so he's kind of like, he's a candidate of the common man, which means normal people, not the rich and wealthy people, the normal people, they're going to kind of look up to him and maybe look at him like, hey, he's like me. So I'm going to listen to him, So we're going to see what I'd like you to do. For the rest, there's page 378 to 381. Okay, kind of read what kind of things go on. Okay, it's really not a lot of reading. Most of the pages are half pages. because there's pictures and things, but you're gonna see there's some interesting things that happen while he's president. Some good, some bad. I mean, you can make your decision on that too. But you have 3 sections now to include 3 more important things that happen while he is in president. So please fill those in. And then when you are finished reading the whole section, okay, when you are finished reading the whole section, please just send me a picture of your work. And please don't forget, write the page numbers where you find these things that you're filling in, okay? So once again, finish reading the text on your own, those pages, and fill in the 3 extra details of what went on while Andrew Jackson was president. All right, thank you.